The Bureaucrat. A novel by Levi Sweeney, read by the author. Chapter 8. Fellow Travelers. Thomas D. was talking to his friend Jack Glassman again. It was a Saturday evening this time, almost closing time. The store was deserted again, except for Thomas and Jack. "Are great teachers analogous to great leaders, Jack?" Thomas asked. Said Jack. "Well, who is a teacher, Thomas? What makes a person a teacher?" Thomas thought for a minute. It was late for him, and he thought he should get home soon. "I suppose a person is a teacher if they have something useful information or experience, to share with others, and they are able to do so capably." Jack. What if a person does have such useful information or experience, but they are bad at sharing it? Thomas snickered. "Well, I knew plenty of those in college, to be honest." Are you sure? I thought you enjoyed your academic experience." Thomas was standing and leaning lazily against Jack's counter this time. "I certainly collected plenty of data in my degree program," he said, thinking deeply, "but there was just something off about a lot of the professors I knew back in college. They were just strangely bland people. Hyper-specialized, hyper-technical, hyper-professional, and not a lot of humor." Said Jack, nodding. "I get the impression that you expected your mentors in college to be more, how would I put it, emotionally intelligent, imaginative, with a greater love of life, maybe? Maybe you thought more of your professors back then would be something like how your friend Steve German is now?" "Honestly, Jack," said Thomas, "in hindsight, nearly all of my professors at college felt like clones of the HR specialist at Macrozon, whom I would talk to for an hour twice a year about my insurance plan. Some of these people were excellent communicators, but hardly any of them were what I would call great teachers." Jack looked thoughtful again. He had his not-quite-cross expression on again. "You need to open your mind a bit," he said, bluntly. "See things from their perspective." "See things from the perspective of a bureaucrat," said Thomas, more testily than he meant. Bad memories were creeping into his mind. "I'm not a machine. Some of my professors felt like they wanted to be machines." Jack shook his head. "A funny word, that one is. Bureaucrat." Thomas D. looked up from where he had been brooding. "What?" said Thomas. "I know you might have been hoping that college would be more like Dead Poet Society, the Robin Williams film, I mean," said Jack, slowly. "But things are very different now. I have grandkids. I know about these things." When Jack was just a little, teeny bit angry sometimes, like he was thinking about something he thought was unjust, the Chicagoan in the back of his voice came out just a little more. "Why is bureaucrats a funny word?" said Thomas. Look here, listen," said Jack, waving his left hand and shaking his head. "Let me tell you a story. My father worked for the army during the war. Did a good job, stayed with the service in peacetime, all through the 50s. He spent his whole military career on the home front, in an office, at a desk. He was educated as an accountant. Jack grimaced, like it was painful for him to remember. Maybe it was. But the old man with the well-tanned skin continued. "My father was not a kind man, but he was basically good. He once told me, 'Jacko, some people call me a bureaucrat, but I consider myself a teacher. I teach people how to follow the rules, and if they listen and follow the rules right and correct, I help them out.'" Jack pressed down on his point-of-sale desk, staring at Thomas. His knuckles were white. "And my dad looked at me with his bad, dull, bespectacled eyes, and he said, 'And Jacko, if that makes me a bureaucrat, well then, I am the bureaucrat.'" Yeah, that's what my father said. Jack stepped out from behind the desk and gently took Thomas by the arm. Thomas and he walked out. "I read in an old book when I was a kid that bureaucracy in the original French just means government by men who sit at desks. But my father never wanted to govern anyone. He just wanted to work hard, do a good job, and live a good life. Maybe most of your professors felt that way too." Jack gave Thomas a gentle hug as they stood in the doorway. It was getting dusky out, and Pike Place Market attracted some unsavory characters at this time of night these days. "Enjoy that Zoom meeting with the YRs, Thomas," said Jack. "You should meet more young people, about your age, doing similar work as yourself. Might be educational, you know?" "Thanks, Jack. Good night, my friend." "Good night, Thomas. Be safe out there." "Of course." Before Thomas walked out into the night at that shop in Pike Place Market, Jack Glassman said something to him which would haunt Thomas forever. "A bureaucrat is just a person who wants to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect, Thomas. Just be you. Thomas D. first met Mari Rusu, chairwoman of the King County Young Republicans, at an in-person meeting of the KC GOP Executive Board. She had a pixie cut, blonde hair, her skin was dark and swarthy, and Thomas D. thought her parents were from Romania or Moldova or something. She had a red rose tattoo visible on her neck. Thomas wasn't sure what to make of Mari. She had a big smile, was perhaps a few years older than him, and loved paying attention to him, making close eye contact with him, often gave him big hugs when they met, and when they spoke, liked to stand close by and speak to him clearly so that he absolutely heard exactly what she said. After all of his adventures had concluded, Thomas D. came to realize that Mari Rusu was an expert user of the charm offensive. At the time, Thomas D. had never met anyone who was particularly good at this maneuver. Mari Rusu was really good at it. She charmed everybody, including the very single, very lonely, very much a bachelor Thomas D. She kind of, sort of, reminded him of Lena. Sort of. He understood in the future, after he grew up a little. But right now, in the present, Thomas D. was very, very, very confused. Who wouldn't be? Mari had a wedding ring on her finger. A big wedding ring. Thomas D. thought her husband's name was Tyler or something. He knew Mari and Tyler had kids. He was pretty sure anyway. But Mari really likes getting close to Thomas. He could not, at the time, divine why. It was just a little strange. At the time, he was certainly reading way, way, way too much into Mari's behavior, but, well, Mari Rusu just seemed to find, somehow, all sorts of ways to occupy the same room, sit on the same committees, go to the same mixers, and volunteer at the same events as Thomas D. It sort of made sense after Thomas D. became KCYR secretary, so of course they started spending a lot of time together, but Mari Rusu just seemed to be everywhere. Except Spokane. She was not there when he needed a friend. Thomas D. was not used to receiving unsolicited female attention. He just wasn't. This was new. LT didn't count. That had been different. Very different. As Thomas prepared to log onto a virtual business meeting of the King County YRs, he thought about Mari. No analysis necessary. Mari Rusu has a lot of time on her hands, is very charismatic, energetic, and well-connected, but has a significant deficit of emotional intelligence. That was how he thought about the problem at the time. He changed his hypothesis later after he had more data, but at the time, he had different thoughts. She doesn't think she is flirting, he thought. She honestly thinks that this is an appropriate, innocent way to interact with a casual friend and professional colleague. I am significantly troubled. Thomas liked Mari, but he liked unmarried women much, much better. The Zoom meeting was on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Some 12 people were in attendance. Okay, everyone, said Marco Tonlin, the Washington State YR State Chair. He was attending this business meeting of the KCYRs out of benign professional interest. Thomas liked him, sort of. He had a teeny strawberry smoothie on his desk, visible in his video feed. Let's get started. Mari was on the call, but kept her mic muted. She tended to shut up whenever a superior party officer was holding the floor. Okay, said Marco, the KCYR has been doing very good lately, and a lot of it is thanks to Mr. Thomas D. here. He has helped to organize our website, clean up the email list, get the digital infrastructure all up to code and streamlined, and seems to know the answers to every question we have about the bylaws in Washington State election law. Silent clapping in the video chat. Most of the other people had their mics muted. Now, said Marco, who had a rough but thick beard and wore a MAGA hat, the board has had a lot of chatting, and we have all agreed to nominate Thomas D. to be the KCYR's new secretary. Thomas, do you accept this nomination? Thomas actually liked working with the KCYRs better than he did working as an LD chair. The LD was small, and he'd been moving heaven and earth just to get more people to come to meetings, let alone keep the meetings organized and productive. His Socratic dialogues were great at certain events, but even his methods had limits. Business meetings still had to happen, and he wasn't always excited to run them. But the KCYRs were full of young people, ready to have extra meetings and mixers and try new things. They had been clamoring to hear one of Thomas's talks for months. Thomas D. hoped to take his new younger friends up on the offer as soon as he could. Yes, said Thomas with no analysis. I'd be honored to accept the nomination. Very good, said Marco, who was an honorary vice chair of the KCYRs. Mari preferred to let Marco take the lead when he attended these meetings. Everybody, including Mari, knew that Marco was much, much better at running efficient business meetings. Now then, said Marco, all in favor of installing Thomas D. as the new secretary, type I into the chat box. Out of 10 voting attendees, 8 typed I. There were at least 4 people on the chat who weren't showing their profile pictures. Thomas knew that 2 of these members had not voted I. And all opposed, type nay into the chat box. Nobody types nay. Marco grinned widely. Okay, the ayes have it. Thomas, you are the new secretary of the KCYRs. More silent clapping. Thomas D knew that Mari had been scrolling on her phone while in the middle of voting. She had voted aye. She was not silently clapping. Her red rose neck tattoo was visible even on the video chat. Speech, typed someone in the chat. It might have been Eli, that weird homeschool kid who was supposed to have volunteered to be the event coordinator and who now just showed up to the meetings and gossiped. Thomas D saw the instant message. I see that at least somebody wants a speech, said Thomas, unmuting his mic. Yes, Marco, let's do it. Said Thomas. Well, what do they expect? Is this the right time and forum for a Socratic dialogue? The end of a business meeting relatively late in the evening, after attending to other business before? Some of these people were hoping it would be concluded quickly. Not this time. Thomas opted for a little oratory. He could do that. My famous straw polls and questions must be saved for another time, he said calmly, but almost grandly. However, I will say that, in a slight paraphrase of the words of Thomas Jefferson, this Zoom meeting is a veritable assembly of demigods. Plenty of them got that reference. A lot of them were men who had been raised fundamentalist. Now we have some gods and goddesses here. Firstly, Marco Tonlin, our WSYR state chair. Hey Marco, and of course, Mari Rusu, our KCYR chairwoman. Good job, Mari. Now, I hope you all can get some rest tonight, eat a good dinner, and remember, recruit, train, elect. To be clear, my questions only work live and in person. You'll have to wait for an in-person meeting to see it happen. But all the same, thank you. Light clapping. Later, the video chat ended. So, when is that state convention in Spokane again? Said Julia on Thomas's phone call. They agreed to bi-weekly chats just to touch base. It was 9 p.m. PST. It's in late April, said Thomas. It's coming up fast, but it feels like things are progressing at a snail's pace, honestly. You're excited to go, Thomas? Not really, but it will be interesting. You see me going to a lot of these, what's it called? KCGOP. Yeah. You see me going to a lot of those events. A lot. You always talk about them when you're on the phone. You're keeping up with your job, right? Yeah, that's fine, said Thomas. Gee. Thomas, you sound a lot less stiff than you did just a month ago. I guess all that socializing was really great for helping you to converse better. Thanks. It's all really fun. Gives me an excuse to leave the apartment. How's Grandma? Sigh. She's doing okay. Lots of doctor's appointments. I'm feeling really tired by all the driving and walking I have to do, honestly. Mom and Dad have taken some time to talk about it, along with some of the other relatives. We're actually thinking of putting Grandma in a facility. She needs 24-hour care at this point, and that's beyond me. She cares so much, and yet... You taking care of yourself, Julia? Said Thomas. Yeah, I'm fine, she said. Her voice was beginning to get more clear and less nasally. Julia was developing a little. She'd be 19 in September. You ever think about college, Julia? Said Thomas. Sometimes. I'm just not sure what I'd study, though. I did pretty well in high school, but I'm honestly just a pretty decent all-rounder. None of my subjects were massive standouts. I was above average, but not excellent at pretty much everything. Well, why not try becoming a doctor, or perhaps a nurse? Thomas? Why one of those? Just a shot in the dark. You did so well taking care of Grandma for almost 2 years, so maybe that's where you have some talent? Just a thought? A light laugh. You've become very sweet, Thomas. You're growing up a bit. Yeah, Mom and I want to have a summit of sorts soon. We'll do a girls' day out or something. We'll have a big talk about my future. Don't worry, Mom and I will figure it out. To be honest, though, I'm surprised you didn't suggest I study economics. I thought you'd be biased or something. No, not at all, said Thomas cheerfully, brightly. I know you're not that good at calculus. He hadn't realized what words had come out of his mouth before it was too late. Fortunately, Julia took it in good humor. Make sure you keep a good filter between your brain and your mouth when you get a Zoom call from Biden or something, she said wryly. Good luck, buddy. Love you, Thomas. Love you, Julia. Bye. Bye. Beoop. This is The Bureaucrat, a novel by Levi Sweeney, read by the author. You have been listening to Chapter 8. Thank you.